Давам думата на Иван Велков да започне първият панел с чуждестранните ни гости. Той ще се проведе на английски, така че заповядайте, господин Велков.
With me on the panel are our colleagues from Greece, Romania, Serbia, and we will have a video introduction from a colleague of ours from Poland. But we'll start with Alexandros from Greece, and he will share with us the insights about the development of the market in Greece and current affairs.
Thank you, Ivan. I learned yesterday that I have only 10 minutes, so I will hurry up. Kindly start my presentation. Thank you. It's a pleasure to being with you today here. My name is Alex Mavvidis. I'm architect studying in Germany. And further, I made a business administration course as well as real estate finance and economics. And I'm CEO of Mavvidis Partners. Next. We are a planning and consulting firm that is based in Thessaloniki, in northern Greece. We are offering a wide range of planning and consulting services, and we are focused and experienced in the sector of commercial and industrial buildings. Next. These are the two fields we are working on. It's the planning services, let's say it's the classic range of architects and engineer services in all phases. It's planning, permitting, tendering, and supervising. We are offering also consulting services. Let's say it is property services, one back. It's development consulting, it's market research, for example, it's due diligence and technical advisory. Of course, project management, and further we are functioning like a one-stop shop solution for real estate investments in Greece. Next. These are one current project we are working on. It's 12,000 square meters food industry building in the suburban area of Thessaloniki. Next. This is last mile logistics of 20,000 square meters in a suburb of Thessaloniki. Next. So now I was very fast. I come to, I try to be fast, I promised. I will give a short overview about the last 10 years of the real estate market, how is the situation today, and then coming in precise to the logistics and industrial market. Next. You know, during 2010 and 18, the Greek real estate market suffered of the financial crisis. The prices fall by approximately 40%. In average, we have even cases with a sharper decline. And during this time, we had higher yields. We had mainly, I would say, aggressive investors, and the prices were it's your job later. And but since 2018, we have, let's say, an inclination. And currently, we have high prices. To be honest, many prices went up by more than 20%. This has, on one hand, to do with the fact that construction price and labor prices went up, but on the other side, we have also higher demand, and this combination made the prices higher. And this led to a wait-and-see modus currently, because investors are interested to invest, but they wait to see how this will develop in the during the next months. The demand of certain types of real estate is very high. This is mainly in real estate of higher quality and with certain specifications. Logistics is one of the fields that has currently high demand, and there is also the need to have logistics spaces. I will come later to the current projects. And that what we see currently is that is the increasing competition besides international investors, because they come to Greece as it is, let's say, an interesting investment place. Next. Only to mention the construction prices are currently for, let's say, a typical logistics center at 550 euros per square meter. The price has increased immensely during the last years. This has both to do with the rising construction prices as well as with the fact that since 2018 we have very strict regulations with respect to fire protection, and this makes the constructions very expensive. On the other hand, with respect to existing building, to modernize them, it depends really on the case what you find on site, because there are some older buildings which are really out of today's standards and have to be, let's say, modified entirely. Next. These are some prices I analyzed during the last weeks. The rents are, let's say, for prime locations. I compared, by the way, only Athens and Thessaloniki, as these are the two main markets of Greece. Red figures are for Athens, and the blue ones are in Thessaloniki. rents in Athens have risen in being in prime locations by 6 euros per square meter, while Class B is 4.5 euros per square meter. In Thessaloniki, it's of course cheaper. We are on prime locations up to 4. And in Class B, it is 250 by 3 euros. Industrial premises are cheaper. The price is mentioned is really average because we have really differences from location, from the age, and from what you find. But let's keep for Athens, it's 450, and in Thessaloniki, it's 3 euros per square meter as the highest price. The yields mentioned, 7 to 7.5 in Athens, and 8.2 to 8.7 is, let's say, for the logistics. If you for the industrial premises, we may assume to have plus 1%. Next, please. So this is the future. I think for the next months, the prices will rise, but it will, let's say, rise more normal, because we saw in during the last months, also due to the crisis we had in Greece, let's say a relatively high increase in prices, but now this will go on more normal. The wait and see modus will go on, I think, for the time, because now the price for money is very expensive, and this is somehow to be calculated. We will have to see how the market will react on it finally. And we have, of course, elections in Greece in 2 weeks from now. This is something that not really, but causes a little bit of uncertainty. The demand of certain real estate types will go on. There is a huge lag for office buildings and for logistics. Currently, the competition will increase even more because during the second half of this year, we are waiting to get investment grade, and this will mean that the Greek market will open for other investors, for institutional investors that currently are not, let's say, open to the Greek market. And more clients, more interest will mean high rising prices, and so falling yields. Interesting point is that the Greek state gives subsidy for logistic buildings as well as industrial constructions. And I think during the last program, it was up to 55%. So it's very interesting for investors. New logistic centers will follow. This is for sure. And as mentioned, the yields will fall. Next, I think it's the last. I skipped the ESG because it's not so nice topic now. Currently, we have in Athens and Thriasio 240,000 square meters under development. Thriasio is outside of Athens. Next to it, it's Aspropiros. It's the Halivourgia project. It's the HAL project. It will add 122,700 square meters to the stock. In Thessaloniki, we have a very interesting project. Is the former Balkan export area. It was 300,000 square meters, and a private developer will, on 2 steps, develop there 120,000 square meters. And a very, very interesting project will be the Gonos former military camp. It's a camp of 670,000 square meters. It is 8 kilometers of the city center of Thessaloniki. And this is, in addition to what was said, it's good to have bigger boxes, let's say, being such a last mile. And Gonos will be something like this. It's 8 kilometers from the city center. And it has a size of nearly 700,000 square meters, meaning that we can develop there 300,000 approximately square meters of logistics. Many transactions currently are done for real estate trusts. They all are very, very interested in logistics buildings. Next. Thank you. I was very well. I did well.
I'll have a few more questions about some details of your presentation, but I would rather give the floor to everyone, and then we can actually switch back to the more lively discussion. Valentin is from Romania, the GOL office, and I hope you can actually add to the already very energetic start of the international panorama of what's happening in the region.
So I keep my presentation very short. It's the same with the clients. The timeline changes and we have to adapt to it. So my name is Valentin and I'm happy to be here and thank you for the invitation for the 4th International Conference. To say a few words about me, I'm an senior industrial consultant with JLL for over 6 years now. And aside from my main activity of brokerage, I specialized on manufacturing and tenant representation. And we are a team of 8 in Romania, and this includes the land development and also energy and infrastructure. JLL is present in Romania for 16 years now. And I'm happy to say that from 2017, we are the market leaders for the entire type of projects, 20,000 or 50,000 and more projects. In Romania, we also have the full coverage of services. Basically, we can, and this includes capital markets, office leasing, industrial research, project and development. Basically, we can cover a project from scratch and deliver it turnkey, all under one roof. And I'm going to stop here with the presentation of the company. And another thing about JLL, that we are present globally, 90,000 employees. In Bucharest, we are 140. Present in the office, only 40. The others are on site for facility and other. So, thank you.
Okay. We'll talk about Romania a bit later. Now, Vladan is probably the closest neighbor we have here from the free zone of Pирот. Please share with us about your activities and a few things about yourself.
Okay. Thank you for the invitation. It's my pleasure to be part of this conference. I will share our experience from Free Zone Pирот. That is a company which manages all administrative operations regarding our clients, our users in the free zone. We have 50 employees. And besides enabling this free zone regime, we have also our logistic services there, also warehouses. And since the last year, we did some progress. We bought one more warehouses in line with the demands of the market, which is about 1,000 square meters. Also, we adopted one small warehouse for storaging of chemicals up to 100 tons. So we are also very careful with our plans for development of warehouses. We plan to construct one more warehouse, which is 2,000 square meters. Because in the smaller cities, like a city of Pирот, from which I can come here, demands of companies are usually to ensure their warehouses in case of any disruptions of supply chain and so on. Here are some basic, in the previous slide you could see some basics about Free Zone Pирот. So 140 hectares is in the regime of Free Zone Pирот, 90 production companies. We have very big companies like Tiger Tires, part of the Michelin group, which produce automotive tires, but also we have medium, small and micro companies which operate in the Free Zone. And they employ around 7,000 employees. And their turnover is 880 million euros and export 462 million euros. We are one of the top free zones in Serbia. The main reason is positive foreign trade balance. Actually, in 2022 was more than 200 million euros. So we are export processing zone. And we started in 1996, and it was hard work to manage everything, companies, but also our services to have certain results. Next slide. All incentives for doing business are located in the free zones, all incentives in the Serbia, but also other incentives by the free trade agreements, by free zone law, local government incentives, and our services makes our place good for operation and make added value to our warehouses and our services. Also, we have, as I mentioned, all services like warehousing, logistics services, terminal for customs inspection, and all what is needed for the import and export of goods. Also full infrastructure. Next slide. And these are our objects. One interesting fact is that some investors asked us to rent our roofs for solar panels, so that we are thinking about that and considering this option. Next slide. And these are our clients, free zone clients. As I mentioned, Tiger Tire is one of the biggest company in our free zone. Next slide. Also, we have external cooperation with World Free Zone Organization and other Federation of Free Zones. Next slide, please. And also we have cooperation with some other free zones, like free zones from Shanghai or free zone Alat from Azerbaijan. We implemented this integrated management system. Recently, we implemented the system 27001, which is about safety of information because of our clients. And these are prices of our warehouses. So €3 per square meter. These are class B warehouses. And for chemicals, €7.5. But this is designed for our client. And this slide is from CBRE report. You can find it on internet. These are prices of distribution warehouses. So €4.75 per square meters, and that is also the increase of prices for 10% comparing the first quarter of 2022. You can see another facts, more than 1 million of square meters in Serbia. The most of the warehouses are located in Belgrade and a wider suburbs of Belgrade. 20% are located in Serbia. As it is written in this report, we expect this percent to be higher in the central Serbia and the southern part of Serbia. And also I found some infos on our ads of warehouses. These warehouses are located near Belgrade because of popularity and needs for warehousing. So it goes from €3 to €6 depending on location. So that would be all. Additional information on our website, and I will also at disposal.
Yeah, thank you. We will get back to that. Very impressive. And we will have a video input from our colleagues from Poland regarding the last few slides of your presentation with the current rental prices and trends in Poland. Poland being one of the largest economic driver for for everyone in the EU, European Union and Europe in general. And we would love to have that as well before we switch to our last colleague on the panel here, Vladimir, who could probably encompass the where Bulgaria stands in all that matter. Can we play the video? We decided that basically this video could be shared with everyone, and I guess not everyone have managed to hear exact numbers, but it's a very clear trend and a very clear idea that Poland is heading into a certain way, but the rental levels and the expectations of the colleagues could be Sophie to elaborate later on. We'll have a bit more input from them later. But now I would rather have Vladimir to join us and actually share his thoughts about what and where we are at this stage. He's here in his capacity as a Park Lane Developments.
Lainshead.
Okay.
Lainshead.
Sorry.
My name is Vladimir Gюрджиев. I'm director of industrial real estate portfolio of Laiъnс Хед Инвестмънтс. Laiъnс Хед is a joint venture between Bulgarian and South African companies, AG Capital and Old Mutual. We have slightly over €500 million portfolio located in Bulgaria and Romania. And we are keeping an eye on other markets as well in the region. Markets like Poland, markets like Czech Republic, Hungary. So I can probably discuss and summarize what's happening in more of a from an investment point of view, but also having in mind that this is an industrial conference to focus, of course, on the parameters which are important for the sector. So more or less for me, the most important question arising today is what is happening with the cost of capital and where does the inflation lead us? Because these two questions will answer what will happen with the sector from the point of view of development and growth. Because what we see in mature markets, if you follow Germany or Belgium or Netherlands, you will see that these markets are under significant stress as we speak, because actually the cost of new capital and cost of development is higher than the revenue that you will get from the rents. And most of the developers are struggling to answer the question, should we develop further or not? Second question is, what are we doing with the existing portfolio? Because it's been developed under a cost of capital close to zero, let's say numbers like 2% or 1 point something percent. And as we speak today, these numbers are closer to 4, 3, 5, 6, depending on the country. So there is a very, very significant risk that at a certain point of time, you will not be able to actually repay your bank back. And companies that will that were lending cheap money for last 10 years are facing a significant risk of actually going bust. But let's not draw a very dramatic picture, because where there is a risk and where there is a problem, there is also an opportunity. In Bulgaria, so far, our banking system somehow is managing keeping our margins, our interest rates lower. And we still have this small gap between the cost of money and the profit we will do on a project, which is good. Another thing that I see in our countries, like in Bulgaria and Romania as well, the thing is that the size of the rental, meaning that the rental lease of our warehouses is keeping up and is compensating for the inflation. What I try to say that in Bulgaria and in Romania, somehow the level of rents has risen in the last month, and it's successfully compensating for the rising cost of construction. So the numbers I can surely confirm is that we see for the prime projects in Sofia, we can freely say that the asking price is now close to 5.5 I'm not saying effective because there are not too many deals, but this goes back to Romania, where my colleague can confirm that for a country where traditionally rents have been much lower and both asking and effective rents, nowadays we can freely speak about average rent in Romania already above 4, I think. Yeah, which is very, very good, because we've been witnessing in locations such as Timișoara, for example, which is comparable to Plovdiv. If we have to make any analogy, the rents have been slightly lower than 3% effective rents. So this is good. In terms of construction cost, I would say that it has slightly dropped from a scaring almost 600 euro per square meter cost. Now in Bulgaria, I mean, in Romania it has been slightly lower. Nowadays, I think that for Bulgaria we can say it's 500 plus, 550 probably. In Romania, probably it's around 500, probably even less if you do a bigger significant project. So I think that our region is still on the positive end of the circle, and this will keep things going. But of course, we're very much connected to the mature markets, and everything that happens in the central banking systems. You know, the interest cost increase every day in Federal Reserve and central banks of Europe. This will make the significant impact on us as well.
Yes, thank you. Probably this is when you start talking about financing and the cost of capital, I just realized that this is one of the very few real estate related conferences that you don't have a bankers on the floor in the beginning of the panel, but that probably might change in the next future. Valentin, why don't you grab the other microphone and actually continue with your input from the very elegant comparison between Bulgaria and Romania, which Vladimir already started, and few things about what to expect from our own perspective.
Just to put a little bit of context about the industrial market in Romania, we are now at 6.9 million square meters of prime industrial warehouses. We expect to end the year over 7.2. We have a record take-up in the past years, 1 million last year, gross take-up, and 95% was net take-up. And to give a little bit of context, because our major competitor is Poland, they deliver every year our entire stock. Just to put an example of the markets and the trend, as Vladimir said, we see some changes in the rents, and basically the changes are up. They are increased by 20, even 30%. This increase is a result of several factors. One of them being the low vacancy during the past years. It was between 1 and 3%. And another justification, it's the financial conditions that increased. And I think the interest rate, it's impacting directly the cost of development that the developers are incurring, thus the lower profit margin. And we also have reports from the developers that are confirming the same increase of 20 to 30%, depending on the location. So basically now in Romania, when you go, we have development costs more or less are the same around the country. We only build on concrete. So we are around 500 to 550 euro per square meter, the construction costs. So the rents are between 4 and 5 euro per square meters, around this range. Of course, they are triple net and they are indexed. Those are for the prime industrial warehouses. When going to Class B warehouses, we see a slight increase there also, but we see more flexibility from the owners, and they are situated between 3 and 3.8 euro per square meters. And when talking about sale prices, we see an yield compression during the past years from 8.25. It came down to 7.5 in isolated cases, and it puts a lot of pressure on the rent. And for Class B, we're talking anywhere between 200 and 300 euro per square meter sell price. Could be slightly above these numbers, but this is the average, let's say. And we have the specific case that applies for the rent and also for the sell price, where when we have the old industrial platforms inside the city. With small refurbishment, these can trigger higher rents. They can be equal with Class A.
And the sizes of those approximately?
Normally, so there are, in Bucharest, we have 3 platforms that are very old. The smallest one, it's around 80,000 square meters, and the highest, it's around 200,000 square meters, but divided in different small owners and so on. It's not one owner for the entire park. So they can trigger higher rents, and sell prices, even with 20 or 30%. Keeping in mind this, the perspective for Romania especially, I see it with the potential for industrial projects that could act as distribution centers for the Balkans. Again, it has a large potential to host large industrial projects. And we have an example. My colleague Viorel was involved in the success for Nokian Tires in Oradea. They acquired the land and they will do a factory. It was an investment of 600 million euros for the first phase. We still are waiting for the over 1 billion investment in Romania, but I think it will not be long until we have such an investment that will attract also thousands of new jobs. But I think it's essential for the local authorities and the government through Romania, Invest Romania agency, to keep the relation with investors and attract them, to bring them to this region. And in my opinion, Romania and Bulgaria, they have a strategic location and can attract and can consolidate the area for regional hubs. We had in last year 2 signings, one of 60,000 square meters for Pepco, this one I can say, and another one for a large retailer. It's 90,000 square meters, it's in Ploiești. So we see more and more interest in Romania for regional hubs. This sign is from the local players that are in the companies that are in the market now, and they are consolidating the regional hubs. But I think the best sign is from companies that are not present in Romania, and they are considering more and more to be here in our market. Romania and Bulgaria, the same.
Thank you. You were very kind, actually, including Bulgaria in all those positive perspectives.
We represent both countries.
Yeah, thank you. It actually makes a lot of sense to actually look at all those 4 countries as a future potential regional hub. Those talks and stories were pretty much a fashion 15 years ago when we actually were about to join the European Union. We were looking to Greece as a positive example of how we can include international tenants, investors, customers, and know-how and best practices into developing the respective industries and area. And industrial and logistics sectors was actually the Vorläufer, if I can say the German word. Do you gentlemen have an expectations that the positive vibes that you have shared here could continue with probably investment into, I was asked to ask a question, within the city logistic, like last mile, small deliveries, would that be a trend in the capital and the major cities in Romania, Greece, or Serbia, apart from the free zone? You can share probably.
I can say that we had the discussion for the past 3 years to have the last mile distribution center in Bucharest, but the city is relatively small and you can cover from the ring road the entire city. So they are still trying to find a solution. We have smaller developers that bought smaller land plot for small units, but we see it in the market and talking about it, but after making analysis, you're fine to be on the ring road. And now we have a development of the second ring road in Bucharest, and it will cover much easier.
I have been personally involved in negotiations for such locations, sorry. And I can say that there are a couple of barriers. First, you're very much right. Our cities, any of our cities, even Warsaw, is small enough to have this delivery the same day, even if you're at the ring road or even if you're behind the ring road. This is very important for cities such as London, Paris, Madrid, whatever big city in Europe, because there you have huge congestions. You can spend a couple of hours in your car waiting. We don't have this issue. Second thing is the cost of this land. So to redevelop, you don't imagine that you will buy it at 40 euro sitting 2 kilometers from the parliament. It's not possible. By the way, I have to mention that in Romania, somehow this entire circle of changing the ownership has been played as a card already once at least or 2 times. So not the original owners of the land that have inherited it from his grandfather are current owners and sellers now, and they're not so emotional. So I can say they're not so attached to this land. Prices of land for development in Romania, in Bucharest, are double lower than in Sofia. Sure, 100%. So these are the 2 barriers. So it's crazy buying land in Sofia, in Ilienci, or in whatever Nepeze you can imagine, and using it for industrial when you have the asking price of at least 200 euro and north. This is crazy. Logistics doesn't work this way. So I don't think that this is the direction of development for us, but there is enough locations. Mr. Zdravkov showed us so many nice areas around Sofia where we can concentrate. I missed to ask him a question about the infrastructure, because
the chance later.
we are facing a huge challenge buying cheaper land, but having to invest double the amount of money for the land itself, for the infrastructure, which should have been there if you call it industrial zone. But this is a different question.
In Athens and Thessaloniki, we have the problem that there are not many big plots available to develop such use. This is the first thing. The other thing, if they are available, they cost too much money, so it is not feasible. And third, it's the land use. In cases it's not allowed to found such uses. So you have these 3 parameters. Yeah, I think that what's essential is not, let's say, the distance in kilometers, but the distance in hours. That's why I agree that it's you have to find means to be fast. And last mile, let's say, logistics can even be in the distance of 10 kilometers. If it's, let's say, with a taxi, lorry or something like this, you can get there in 1 hour, 2 hours. Yeah, it's enough, I think, and you can be fast enough. I think to make logistic parts within, let's say, a core of or a circle of 10 kilometers of a city, it's very, very expensive, especially in our cities.
One last question, and you can use that as your final statement. I hope today, the 10th of May, is the World Facility Management Day. Each year, it's changed. Basically, I couldn't resist actually use the floor and ask you about the importance of different services that could be value adding to the whole concept of future and potential of the development of industrial and logistic facilities and the services they offer.
We talked this morning about this very short. Yeah, it's very essential to implement in the planning from the beginning, from scratch, all critical parameters, because I think it's 25 years. Within 25 years, you pay one more time the cost of the building for the run. Yeah,
it's the German formula. I know. You spend some time in Germany and you have all the details coming from there.
Yeah, that's the assumption. So it makes sense to keep into account any means and any facilities that will reduce the costs during the running of the business. Yeah, so this is very important, I think, and there is potential also to add value or to add, let's say, worth to a building, to make it interesting for the years.
So I agree with Alex. The facility part is very important to maintain and keep the building for a long period of time and to maintain its value. Normally in Romania, the facility part is included in the service charge, and the owner has to take care of its equipment, building, and so on. But it's one of the main important aspects that I can say it will bring value to the building and to the park, the entire park.
the importance of facility management in your project in the free zone?
Yeah, it's very important as well. But
Microphone. Microphone. Here.
we are focusing on this free zone regime, which add value to our warehouses. So you can bring goods inside the warehouse and pay no customs duty, no VAT. When you want to distribute it locally, you pay everything, or when you distribute it abroad, you don't pay nothing. Also, it is important for producers. They bring these raw materials in warehouses and pay no taxes. And after, when they export, because we are mainly export-oriented free zone, they pay duties on these raw materials. So no paying VAT and bringing back, no procedures. It's a facilitated procedure and cheaper for companies which operate in our free zone. So maybe this can also add some values to warehouses.
Thank you. And final word from you, Vladimir?
If you're a long-term player, it's critical to have perfect facility management because it's a part of a service which is after sales. After the guys with the expensive suits sign the contracts, then actually the relationship you have with your clients is on that level. So how clean it is, how well maintained, is it leaking, whatever. So it's crucial. It's crucial to have good facility management. The good thing is that nowadays we have a lot of technology which is coming to our business, prop tech technologies, whatever. And this is helping actually optimizing because, of course, industrial is a very conservative sector. We don't have these big margins, so we have to be very, very careful about the expenses. So everything that can optimize the cost but still keep the level high is welcome. And I think that nowadays we live in very interesting times in that matter.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. I guess you have the options to ask some questions, our colleagues later in the coffee breaks, but we are running out of time for the next panel.
Аз искам да допълня
Get
нещо.
back to the...
Първо искам да благодаря на подкрепата на Лайънс Хед за спонсорството на Владимир. Благодарим. Искам също и да поздравим един младоженец от групата, която е пред нас, който в неделя се ожени, но независимо от всичко, дойде и беше лектор на нашия панел. За Валентин Ахим.
Браво!
Честита! Добре дошъл на борда. Окей. Thanks. Благодаря на всички за сега. 5 минути почивка и продължаваме с панела на Бичи склад.